Hello, and welcome to Talking with Myself, with none other than me. This show has brought you many great things,
such as vampires, fact or fake, timeline of time travel, the history of hats, and the history of gift giving.
And now it's time for my thoughts on marijuana. Marijuana, or cannabis, has been around for a very long time, and it's had restrictions on it since at least 1860, but we do not have much information about the regulations in the 1860s. But we do know, as early as 1806, that it was classified as a poison. It progressed in the 1920s to outright prohibitions. And then in the mid-1930s, is regulated as a drug in every state. The first big acts on drugs and marijuana were in 1925. These included the Uniform State Narcotic Drug Act. The Uniform State Narcotic Drug Act was mostly a revenue-producing act. It provided penalties for violations, but had no authority to get people in trouble for possessing drugs or take them away, mostly. Now let's hear a word from an expert on the Uniform State Narcotic Drug Act and why, in fact, that it didn't go quite as well as expected.
Well, Miss Kayla, my sources say that I cannot tell you too much on this subject. It's highly confidential. You know, United States confidentiality stuff. But I can say that it did not pass because we did not think through the process very well. We kind of just rushed into it, eager to hurt the drug business, and quite frankly it backfired when we could not confiscate the drugs because it just kept doing it fine. Apparently it wasn't enough, and now look at where we are. It would be a lot different now if we had been able to take away the drugs.
In the 1930s, the Federal Bureau of Narcotics came into action. It pushed to outlaw all recreational drug use, headed by Harry Anslinger. He claimed that marijuana caused people to commit violent crimes and act irrationally and overly sexual. Then again, in 1936, Anslinger attempted to bring down drugs yet again. He had the Geneva Trafficking Conventions. They attempted to include criminalization of cultivation, production, manufacturing, and distribution of drugs for non-medical and non-scientific purposes. And again, he did not do super well. Let's hear a word from Anslinger.
Well, Kayla Martin, I had to get these things done because drugs just ruin lives. And marijuana is nothing but a gateway drug to other worse drugs happening, and we just need to stop this sort of stuff. We need to stop it.
In 1937, the biggest thing to hit marijuana industry was the Marijuana Tax Act. This act made possession or transfer of cannabis illegal. This act also included taxes for businesses, scientific purposes and medical uses of marijuana. In the 1970s, the Controlled Substance Act classified cannabis as having a high potential for abuse, had no medical use, and not safe to use under medical supervision. Let's ask an important U.S. person to discuss this with us. We should always consider the possibilities of this being brought on by extraterrestrials, you know, aliens. In the 1990s, medical use of cannabis became more prominent. Then, in 2001, a great trial on the future of marijuana occurred. It was the United States versus Oakland Cannabis Buyers Cooperative. It was created to provide seriously ill patients with a safe and reliable source of medical cannabis and information and patient support. This case severely affected the future of medical marijuana and marijuana in general. On November 6th, medical marijuana was legalized. It began in state-level legalization. It was attempted by the California Proposition 19 of 2010 and the Oregon Measure 80 in 2012. But neither of them quite passed it. Maybe we should talk to an official on the subject. I honestly can't say that I understand why I am here, so I don't know. What do you want from me? What do you want from me?
Drugs. I need your view on drugs.
My view on drugs? Oh, okay. Well, that's easy enough. My view on drugs is that, quite frankly, who cares? It's not like it's any worse than alcohol, right? I mean, alcohol is a pretty evil substance, also poison, if you ask me. So if you're letting people put that in their systems, why not drugs? Like, who cares anymore? There's worse things that kids are doing nowadays than drugs. Well, marijuana at least. And don't do cocaine. That would be silly. So don't do that. Colorado and Washington were the first states to actually pass marijuana being legalized. Colorado did it with the amendment, and Washington did it with an Initiative 502, and both of them passed it on November 6th of 2012. Now, this seems like it should be pretty interesting, so let's talk to a resident of Colorado. I can't say that I honestly understand what the big deal about this is. I mean, what does it matter? Does it really matter to society? I mean, we drink anyways. It's not like it's a big deal. Chips. Chips are awesome. It's not even a big deal. What? Whoa. Man, I don't even know. Thank you for joining me on Talking with Myself on my thoughts on marijuana. Why can't we be friends? 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 Aliens. Aliens.